Welcome everyone on our 106th episode under Trends Literature series. And I am Neeta Aneja and I'm the founder of Trends. And with me is Dia. She's the co-founder and the co-host and the technical brain behind all the Zoom sessions and the recordings that you watch on the YouTube channel. Explaining menopause through stories and experiences. A new book by our very own guest who's been earlier on our platform, Dr.Amrinder Bajaj. She's an award-winning author. She's also an eminent gynecologist. And the book is Live Your Best Life, which is understanding menopause for a wiser, healthier, and happier you. And definitely this book guides women on how to negotiate menopause, and it urges women to stop fearing this phase in their lives and lead a fulfilling life. To briefly introduce Dr.Amrinder Bajaj, and I know she doesn't really need any introduction. She's affiliated to Fortis Gurgaon. She was formerly the head of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Max Hospitals. She's a gold medalist from All India Institute of Medical Sciences. She's in fact also an award-winning author of various books. She's written, among them being a memoir on Mr. Khushwant Singh. You would have also noticed her writing really hard-hitting articles on medical profession in various leading newspapers like Times of India, Hindustan Times, everywhere. Her writings, in fact, are quite introspective, insightful, and I must say, thought-provoking. So welcome, Dr. Bajaj. It's such a privilege to really host you the second time over.
Thank you very much. Feels like coming home.
Wonderful. Such a wonderful compliment from your side. And it really does, talking to you is like as if we have been always, knowing each other for ages. I'll start my conversation straight away and we'll delve into the conversation and we'll, gradually the people will be joining in fine. We are recording the session and it'll be on our YouTube channel, Trends Literature series in a few days. And do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch all the previous recordings. Dr. Bajaj, your approach towards writing, which one can really make out once one goes through your books, your various articles, is that you really, really enjoy writing. And you make sure that the readers similarly enjoy the process. So after so many successful writings, as an author, where would you place your current book as? A work which needed to be told, or your point of view which needs to really reach out to the benefit of all age groups of women to educate and empower them on the most anticipated phase of their life, menopause?
First and foremost, I would like to clarify one point. Menopause is not the most anticipated phase of a woman's life. It is the most dreaded phase of her life because she thinks she's losing her youth and a lot of illnesses involved, and then she'll be going downhill. But that's not true. So what motivated me to write this book was to remove this fear and replace this with a sense of freedom. After all, she'll be achieving freedom from periods, pain, pads, premenstrual syndrome, PMS, contraception, childbearing, child rearing. She will also be at liberty to do what she wants to do instead of what she had to do before, because time that was at a premium earlier is now at her disposal. As for writing wellness books, I'm not very keen on writing them. There's no sense of achievement. It's like I'm just simplifying my medical knowledge for the lay public, and there's no creativity involved. But this book is special because my editor, Penguin editor, Vaishali Mathur, she came up with a brilliant idea of combining the doctor and the storyteller in me. And thus it came about that I started writing stories that inform and amuse.
So very right. And it is a fascinating read because I read the book and it was such a, you couldn't really put it down, and such a heavy topic like menopause, you made it sound so simple and, just a kind of a cakewalk. But your book, Live Your Best Life, is a gentle, friendly guide to negotiating menopause and living a fulfilling life, both in body and mind. As you say, menopause is just another phase of your life. So please tell us about your own experience and perhaps how did you really, really personally go through this phase?
See, that's a rather personal kind of question, but I'd answer it. Nevertheless, I had menopause relatively early at 47 years of age. And typical book picture like, the periods became scantier, they came after longer intervals, and finally they stopped. And I wondered what all this fuss is about, till I started sweating profusely. And this sweat was not like that hot flashes and cold sweats. I would sweat chiefly in the OT, and not only for difficult cases or serious complicated cases, even for simple procedures. Why only in the OT? Because we wear a plastic apron over our scrubs, then we wear the thick gown, then we have gloves and mask and head cover. So much so that the people in the OT would decrease the temperature of the AC when they knew that I had a case. And secondly was the urge incontinence. I could barely hold my urine till I reached the toilet. Barring these two, which I've got used to now, I'm living a very happy, carefree life, basking in the love of my grandchildren, pursuing my passion for the written word, and actively pursuing my profession.
So very right, and especially as it is said that 30% of women's life is menopausal. So it is very important to kind of live through it happily. And as you would guide us through the conversation, how to really go about it and how to really go through this phase. And as I just mentioned that I'd really, really enjoyed reading the book. But would you really like to tell our viewers, because most of them have not read the book till now, that what is so special about the book that they should really read it, and maybe a short para from the book you would like to read out to them?
See, firstly, as I told you, it is a wellness book in a novel form, which is again, it is a novelty. Secondly, if it wasn't tantamount to blowing my own trumpet, I would say it's a must read for every woman from 40 till 100 years of age, because it deals with the perimenopausal period, that is a varying period of time before she actually attains menopause, the 12 months after which is said to have achieved menopause, and then the postmenopausal period that lasts with her throughout her life. These are the reasons why they should read them. And moreover, it is a fun read. It is not a boring, didactic lecture type of thing. And there are a lot of anecdotes and humors thrown in.
Yes, there are many anecdotes, in fact, and one really tends to identify with some of them. If one has been through this phase, like I've been through that, and I could identify with a lot of anecdotes and incidents that you. Would you like to please read a small paragraph from the book?
Yeah, I'll read a small thing. Female sex hormones are the blessings and the bane of a woman's life. A girl matures because the hormones deem it the right time to flood her system and are responsible for her burgeoning breasts and her curvy figure. A woman revels in her femininity, her sexuality, carries a baby in her womb, nurses an infant on her breast due to their presence in her body in the right quantity at the right time. However, there comes a time in a woman's life when the ovaries pack up and she attains what she had dreaded all along. As soon as she enters her 40s, she begins to have apprehensions about life without periods. Periods that gave her periodic problems, yet she is reluctant to let go because periods are associated with youth. The clock cannot be turned back, and we have to learn to live amicably with the present. I have written this book to clear misconceptions, to help the women tide over this difficult transition period and to accept menopause gracefully. Menopause is a gift. After imposing upon us the overwhelming responsibility of carrying forward the human race, nature rewards us with the carefree existence of menopause. It is a gift that we ought to accept gracefully, utilize fully, especially now with a longer lifespan. More and more women are spending a third of their lives in the postmenopausal period. The psychological impact of menopause is tremendous. There's a diminished sense of self-worth. The children exploring professional avenues of their own and their own sexuality, usually away from home, time hangs heavy on our hands. As for our lesser halves, Unable to understand the psychological impact of this massive change, they resort to ridicule to cover the ignorance. I think the men also should read this book if they love their partners. A caring partner would have made all the difference, but at the peak of their careers, some with a young mistress tucked on the side to reiterate their own youth. They have no time for us. She begins to think that menopause has made her less attractive. Why don't they realize with their receding hairline and preceding paunches, our men are also no longer the Prince Charming that we married? And if we started joking about middle-aged men who couldn't get it up or keep it up, they would stand not a chance. Instead of wallowing in self-pity like a buffalo in a pond, they should rise from this despondency gloriously like a lotus. A like-minded circle of friends, a hobby that one is passionate about, spiritual leanings come handy at this point of time of life. If you have neglected them, caring for a family that has ditched you now, this is the time to reconnect and bring good cheer back into your life. Because menopause is the end of menstruation, not the end of the world. Throughout the book, I have endeavored to convert the formidable menopause into the delightful menopause. Can I read out the poem I wrote out?
Yes. In fact, I must tell everyone, this is the beginning of the book. I think the preface. Ma'am is going through it. That, in fact, gives you the synopsis of the entire book and very wonderfully compacted and written. Yes, ma'am.
So, menopause and menopause.
Yes.
I'll shrivel you into a prune, said menopause. I'll counter your assaults, said menopause. I'll break your bones, said menopause. We'll see about that, said menopause. I'll addle your brain and weaken your heart. But can you weaken my spirit, you upstart? I'll ravage your skin and thin your hair. Do you think that for such trivia I care? I'll make you cry and sad without reason. I'll make you sad and cry without reason. Don't you dare commit such treason. After hot flushes, cold sweats, you will shiver. With cold sweats, you will shiver. Is that the last arrow in your quiver? 100 ills within you I'll let loose. Yet I know this battle you will lose. Come on now. Stop playing the fiend and be my friend. And this stupid quarrel let's both end. In fighting, I say, please no more. Let's team up and together win this war. I'm a part of you and you are my part. Together, let's make a healthy start. From now on, menopause and menopause will fight together for a common cause. We have miles to go and years to live, and back to society a lot to give. With a husband married to his work, his decreasing demands no longer irk. With children gone and elders gone, for myself alone I am reborn. Now is the time, with sacrifice and drudgery I am done. Now is the time to have some fun. So behave yourself, dear menopause, and I promise life will be party with no pause. That's the gist of the book.
Absolutely. In fact, this poem is definitely the gist of the book. And it is there is this underlying positivity in the book about menopause. And once you go through it, you realize that, yes, it's not all about not being negative about it. It's, yes, as Dr. Bajaj says, a lot of things that you can really look at when you are menopausal. But ma'am, a lot of people come to you, I'm sure, and really talk to you about the book and really thank you for all the suggestions that you have given in the book, or perhaps you also talk about menopause a lot on various forums. So maybe if you could tell us maybe one of your best remarks that you got on the book, maybe somebody came to you and said, this is what has made a difference to me.
The best remark, as far as I can remember, is a woman in her 40s. She came up to me and said, I was dreading menopause all along. And now, after reading this book, I'm actually looking forward to this sense of liberation. Once I'd given a podcast with Mr. Ashton Doctor, that's Habit Coach. It's a very famous podcast. He said one of his friends gave a party when she had menopause. I think that's the attitude. So how do I feel about it? Great. It gives me there's gratitude and there's a sense of achievement. And those to whom I give a talk on menopause, I love the look of enlightenment on their face and the way they huddle up to me later on to discuss their personal problems, which I'm able to hopefully help them. That gives me a great high.
Imagine. This is really wonderful. And perhaps, ma'am, before maybe I let Dia take over and then we have the interactive round. And I would also request people to please put your questions in the chat box and we'll like to take them as many as we can, provided we have the time for that. So what advice would you really like to give to women who are entering this phase of life?
I would like to tell them that menopause is a temperamental creature. But whether you like it or not, she has come to stay with you for the rest of your life. So we have to make the best of the situation. With some, it's not that bad. With most of us, she becomes instant friends. With some, she takes some time to get used to, as it's a general population also, some people become friends. There's immediate connect and some people you get used to, time to get used to. But with some, she remains at loggerheads and then she needs to be sorted out with the help of an intermediary, the gynecologist. Temperamental or easygoing, one thing is certain. Slowly but surely, she'll be taking up every system of your body and end up either running your life or ruining it. So you have better keep her in place. That's important.
So very right. Absolutely. Temperamental, I totally agree. You can never predict its behavior, ever. You might sound totally normal and you might feel that, yes, I've had the most easiest of times, but yes, you need to kind of be aware and be particular. I would like to also invite Dia now. She has a couple of questions. Dia.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Great listening to you. I would just like to say, great initiative. This book won't just be beneficial for people experiencing menopause, but like you said, even the husband should read it. It would be beneficial for everybody, just by understanding this topic and understanding what the other person is going through. So great initiative, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, my first question. I wanted to ask, what are the main myths surrounding the topic of menopause and how do you address them in the book?
The first thing that comes to my mind that most people think that their sex lives goes for a toss once they've attained menopause. It is not true. There could be some difficulties. There could be some issues like vaginal dryness or lack of libido. Libido could be due to other reasons, not because of lack of sex desire, because of lack of sleep, frequent trips to the toilet, hot flashes, cold sweats. And these all can be addressed. You have to go to a gynecologist and she will help you with that. And secondly, the other thing is that you don't need to use, another myth is you don't need to use contraception after menopause. It is true, but for the first 2 years, you have to be careful. Because sometimes it so happens that there could be erratic ovulation. And the periods come 14 days after the ovulation. So if that, I guess, caught, the woman could get pregnant and she thinks she's attained menopause and no, she's pregnant only after the baby starts moving and she has that late delivery. Third thing, another myth that is very common is that HRT is dangerous. HRT is hormone replacement therapy, which is now called MHT, menopausal hormone therapy. It was still HRT when I wrote that book. But the pendulum has swung from one end to the other end. First, it was supposed to be the elixir of youth and would cure everything. And the other extreme is too generous. Now we have struck a mean. There are 2-3 situations where it is really useful, like these hot flashes and cold sweats, which are not treated by the usual simple methods. Then there could be premature menopause, because all the issues that occur after menopause, the diabetes, hypertension, that can be associated with aging also, and heart disease, cancers, dementia, and all that, and a decreased lifespan also. would occur that much earlier. And thirdly is for this vaginal dryness, there are local creams. So these are the three most common. With weight gain, people think, of course it is true, because the metabolism slows down. You have to do more exercise and less, and have a proper diet to reduce the.
Right. I think one more myth that I might have come across is the fact that it is also something I believed in, that menopause is only your periods, basically your menstrual cycle ending, but it's more than that. There are other effects to it.
Every system gets affected. Every system is involved.
Yes, ma'am. That is something I do see in the book. It's being solved, and
you know what? Some women, they have the uterus removed, so they are not having periods. They think they've attained menopause. They haven't, because the ovaries are still functioning.
Yeah.
And only when the ovaries stop functioning, or they have also been removed along with the uterus, then she will have surgical menopause, which is a rather abrupt menopause with more severe symptoms.
Right, ma'am. These are certainly things people won't know. So it's great that your book is educating them about it. About your book, I love how every chapter, at the end of every chapter, you would write a small friendly advice paragraph. In fact, your whole book, it feels to me as though through these stories, some friend is talking to me. Did you always plan to write the book like this, or did you start writing the book for awareness regarding this topic and it sort of became a friendly book?
See, I didn't want to write clinical sort of chapters and that people read just because they're forced to read it, or they're really suffering some problem. That's why they're reading it. I want it to be a person-friendly, patient-friendly book. And moreover, I told you, my editor also gave me that brilliant idea of making it into. It was really a challenge to make stories out of menopausal symptoms. But then those three ladies I invented, or what should I call them? I found them in the around me, and then I added on to them. So those ladies, I became so fond of them by the end of I created those ladies. Like, they were like people, this is one by one, each of them has some symptom or the other. Then someone's mother-in-law falls and has a fracture, and someone's since it gradually the stories came. Then sometimes the doctor, I fashioned the doctor on me, of course, and she has some problems, and how her dry eye syndrome, or is it too late for romance, and all those sort of things. So then even the doctor is involved. So everyone gets involved, and all the symptoms are covered. It was a bit of a challenge, but then the challenges are what makes life happy.
Anybody could get invested in the book, not just for the knowledge, but because of the sort of novel-like structure it has. So that is just great, ma'am. I wanted to ask, how has your experience been publishing your book through the present publishers, and how has the right marketing helped your book? What difference did you notice this time versus how it was in the earlier books?
See, firstly, they gave me a reasonable signing amount, which was which the other publishers did not give, except perhaps for HarperCollins. Secondly, though they were quite slow, they took 2 years, that's why it's still HRT, to get the book out. But being published by Penguin Random House was a dream come true. Thirdly, their marketing is very strong. A good book can sink without a trace if no one is aware of its existence. A bad book can sell if the marketing is done well. So there have been n number of reviews, there have been podcasts. I've talked with the People TV, with this habit coach, which is supposed to be a very prestigious one, Ashton Doctor, then CNBC, and a lot of other things. There's still more coming. And so I hope that pays dividends and people do buy the book.
This book is doing really well, and for a good reason. Anybody who reads this book, they can understand why it's doing so well. So, ma'am, what is your next plan? What are your plans after making this wonderful book, which is doing tremendous all around and creating so much buzz?
See, I have signed a contract with Bloomsbury for 2 books. One is another taboo subject, but not as more than this actually, than menopause. That is on female sexuality. female section, and the other is, then let's talk about this book first. See, this is something that is always brushed under the carpet. Women are not supposed to have any sexual desire. But while I was researching, of course, I wrote chapters on sexuality in every phase of life. Even a newborn child has sexual feelings, a young girl, an adolescent, sexuality during pregnancy, menopause, all this is mentioned. But then I read the ancient texts, the Kama Sutra, the Tantric sex also, and there's a Arabic ancient text called Perfume God. All these have laid great stress on the gratification of the female. All this has gone for a toss. I don't know where or down these ages we've become such prudes, and that needs to be rejuvenated. One thing. The other book is called Then They Let Him Die. It is about a dysfunctional family that disintegrates when the head of the family gets cancer. It is again drawn on autobiographical events, but elaborated and fictionalized. So, in fact, they are going to publish the second book before the female sexuality one. So let's see.
Lovely. We look forward to both those books, and I have a couple of questions already in the chat box, but I'd like to invite Resham Dutt first in the interactive round. In fact, she's the co-founder and CFO of for Senex Group. So welcome, Resham. Can you please switch on your video? Hi, Resham.
Hi.
Hello.
Good evening, Dr. Bajaj.
Good evening.
Very comforting to hear about the contents of the book, that we, should be taking this phase of life in a very positive manner and make the most of it. But during this time, we do have problems, and we need to tackle them, so that this phase is comfortable, like, we are healthy, happy, full of energy. So how do we go about it? I haven't read your book yet. I would love to read it and do so, but few words from you.
See, firstly is that you should eat right, sleep tight, exercise light. They're different. I mean, there are lots of, I can elaborate on all the three if you want to. Then you should learn breathing, relaxation, meditation, yoga. You should get involved in some sort of creative activity that gives you a sense of achievement. You should avoid tobacco, alcohol, substance abuse. You should have a good social network. It's good, even if you sit and gossip with your friends, at least you're venting. So that's an outlet. Third, and lastly, the most important, even if you're feeling absolutely well, you must go for yearly health checkups. Okay. First is a general body health checkup, and the other specifically from the gynecologist point of view, you need to get your breasts examined for lumps, then your local examination for any lesions, the ultrasound, a pap smear is a must, an ultrasound of the local area, and then bone densitometry, because people tend to, then you go to the heart specialist, all these, if you go for a preventive health checkup, all these doctors, your eyes, your teeth, everything, they will look at you there. So that firstly, if you've got any disease that has to occur, the 4 major risks that are heart attacks, cancers, fractures, and dementia. So these things, like supposing you've got a high lipid profile, you've got diabetes, and you've got hypertension. If these are controlled, you may not reach to the stage of an heart attack, or if you have any disease, it will be caught early. Similarly, you don't have to have a bone fracture before you go to the doctor. If your vitamin D levels are low, if your calcium levels are low, if your bone densitometry is not good, you can give them those medicines to help you out. So those are the things. And especially for the ladies, the gynae part, if you're in the perimenopausal period and you're having intermenstrual bleeding, that bleeding between 2 periods or spotting, one thing. Secondly, bleeding after intercourse, after sex. Thirdly, bleeding after you've attained menopause, 12 months after you've stopped your periods. These things are not acceptable and need to be looked at. They should not be covered under a blanket statement कि menopause में होता ही है ऐसा चीजें. So these things have to be really looked after. If you go to regular pap smears, any precancerous lesions are caught, and you won't reach to the stage of cancer. That's it.
Thank you, doctor. But do we have a structured test program for this purpose?
Yeah,
when we go to a gynecologist, what do we ask for?
See, if you go to a gynecologist, she can get the things done only for the gynae part of it, which is well good enough. But you need to look at a patient as a whole. She shouldn't have other problems. You go for a preventive health checkup. There are different types of preventive, where they do the minimum test and to the one that do the maximum test, and then you're rotated amongst all the doctors also. And once a particular thing has been seen, most of these diseases are silent killers. Blood pressure till someone doesn't have a stroke, you don't even feel anything. Or sugar also. And these things are such silent killers, so that if they are caught only by regular monthly, yearly checkups, they can be cured, they can be controlled, thyroid, all these things. So you should go for all the doctors, and especially the gynecologist, because I'm a gynecologist, that part also is very, very important. Gynae cancers are so easily diagnosed. Breast lumps and cervical cancer, they are accessible to the vision, and still women suffer so much, it's really sad.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you for your inputs. Very, very informative. Yeah.
Thank you, Rachel, for a great question and equally answered so well by Dr. Bajaj. Now we have Alka Khanna. She's a social worker and she would like to ask a question. Alka Khanna, please. Hi, Alka. Yes, Alka, please.
I don't know. I can't turn my, can you hear me? I can't turn my camera on, but can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Don't worry. You can ask.
Well, Dr. Bajaj, I must thank you for the topic you've touched, and whatever I've heard from you, I must say it's very, very enriching and enlightening.
Thank you.
I'm a living example of your menopause.
Good.
But I had my hysterectomy done in 2013. Yeah. And only after that, I started getting these damn hot flushes. I don't know, like, of course, I sweat and I'll have a little bit of water or something that settles down. I'm doing everything you are telling, eat light and sleep tight and exercise and everything. But my hot flushes don't leave me. A lot of people get worried seeing me because even in an AC room, I just break into a sweat for nothing. But anyway,
join the club. Even I sweat a lot. Anyhow, but I'm going to tell you the treatment. You don't need that sort of an answer, I understand. How old were you when your uterus was removed?
Around 51, 52.
At 213?
No, 30. Now 60. So 10 years ago, almost say, okay, 50, yeah.
10 years ago, see, if it was little earlier, they could have put you on HRT. But 10 years after, only the uterus was removed, but the ovaries were also
removed. Ovaries also were removed. And only after that I started getting the hot flushes.
Yeah. So they didn't give you anything treatment at that time?
No.
See, now at the most I can recommend is you add soya in your diet, because we don't usually start HRT 10 years after menopause. If it was earlier, we could have given you a short course short course means even up to 5 years, you would have had a very, very good results. But now it's beyond that stage now.
No, I'm okay. I'm just telling you, I'm a living example of your menopause. I'm going on fine.
You can include soya in your diet.
Yeah, high protein something. Okay.
That contains phytoestrogens, which are plant-based estrogens, and then they get them attached to estrogen receptors, and they could help you. Then you take a hot, stay in a well-ventilated room, wear layered
light clothes. Yeah, that
layered
I do.
clothing, and cotton clothes, cotton sheets, well ventilation, and you can keep a small fan with you also. And that's all I can suggest now, because
I'm going on fine. Yeah, because being in Delhi, I mean, you go through all the temperatures, and I'm all right. know this thing. But I must tell you, whatever I'm hearing from your conversations, your book is like going to be something that you just keep by your bedside and just read. So
Please
I
do,
must
please.
congratulate you. Yeah, it's a
Please do.
beautiful book, and I think a very good topic for all of us ladies here.
Please
Thank you so
read it and give me your feedback sometime. No? Okay.
I will certainly. Thank you so much, Dr. Bajaj.
Thank you.
Very nice.
It is easily available on Amazon, so you guys can order it.
Yeah.
Find
And
it.
it's not expensive at all, and they've reduced the rates also so much.
Yes,
now.
yes. They want to make it, because it's such a useful book.
Easily accessible to everyone.
Reach out to as many people.
Everyone. Yeah, that's true.
Now we
Certainly,
have, yeah. Thank you, Alka, for this question, and thank you, Dr. Bajaj, for answering it. Now we have Neeta Rampal. She's a very well-known artist, and she has a question for you. She does a lot of exhibitions and workshops. She keeps herself quite busy. So, Meeta, yes, please.
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Dr. Bajaj. Lovely to see your book on, so that we can all read it, and being our stage, because we are going through the menopausal stage. So I'm sure it's going to be very helpful for us. I have a query. Actually, I am going through that stage, and the problem with me is that whenever I'm getting periods, after the end of the period, I get UTI. So any tips what to do and how to face it? Like every time, it's been 3-4 times I'm getting it.
UTI.
Yeah, I always get a UTI after I get over with the periods. So
If you don't mind, can I ask you how old are you?
I'm 52.
So yeah, what were we going to say?
I'm 52 years, so I was just asking, what should I do to prevent it? Like it's a pain at times, and the UTI is really troubling me a lot.
See, firstly is that the UTI should be cured completely. Once you've taken a full course of antibiotic, you must get the urine routine. 3 days after you stop the antibiotics, you must get the urine routine culture done again.
Yeah.
So that the culture should be sterile.
Yes.
Then it doesn't become chronic.
Yeah.
So once it becomes chronic, the urologist will prescribe long-term antibiotics like nitrofurantoin, and even for 6 months.
Okay.
And now that you still have your periods absolutely regular.
No, it's coming after a gap of 4 months. So every 4 months, whenever I get it, so I'm having a problem with that also because I'm having heavy ones. So, but after that, I get this problem every time. So it's after 4 months. So then I have to take a course of antibiotic, and then after that I get over it. But again, when I get my next period after 4 months, I face it.
No, but I told you must get the culture done again after stopping the antibiotics 3 days.
Okay.
Secondly, there's some local hygiene that has to be followed. We should always clean our private parts from front backwards.
Yeah.
If we use a jet, the flow of water is from back and front. So even if there's a small amount of fecal matter around that area, it will come in the front, and the female urethra is so small, so that the infection ascends. Secondly, because you're in the perimenopausal period, you know what? The posterior wall of the bladder and the anterior wall of the uterus of the vagina are approximated. And that also depends on estrogens.
Okay.
So, and if you can visit your doctor and she finds some sort of an estrogen deficiency, she can prescribe some local estrogen creams that will make it stronger so that you don't catch the infection easily.
Okay.
And wear cotton panties.
Yeah, that I take care. But then only thing is that, okay, I thought I can, if you could give me a tip so that, it could help me.
These things only can help you. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I'll definitely go through your book. It's really inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Meeta. Now we have Roma Ghosh. She's a senior journalist and an author and a very good friend. Yes, Roma. Roma, can you please switch on your video, or you would like to ask directly? You're muted. Can you?
Okay, now is it okay?
Yes, Roma.
Yeah. Good evening, doctor. How are you?
Good. How are
Yeah,
you?
You know,
Same.
you've been asking all of us how we are. So let me ask you, how are you?
Thank you. I appreciate patients who ask me, how are you, doctor? Because that's
Okay.
our standard question.
And first of all, you know, I feel I went through menopause. First of all, let me appreciate your poem, because I'm an author myself, my writer myself. I can see the simplicity, the way you've used your words, and so expressive. Hats off to you for the poem. It
Thank
sums
you.
up your entire book.
That's
My
true.
experience of menopause has been amazing. I went through it like a cakewalk. And I personally feel that it is your family support which is more important, at least to keep you mentally free. I think it's your family support. My husband is a journalist, so he did a lot of reading while I was going through menopause. My child was then 19 years old. So he got him into the picture, made him understand that mama may be irritated once in a while. So I feel, doctor, this is a question I'm asking you. Don't you think men should be encouraged to read your book as much as women should?
Actually, I said that initially because this is a period of tremendous upheaval, and it takes some time to get adjusted to. So if you're irritable, you have mood swings, and you feel low sometimes, you feel no one loves you, or you feel lack of sleep and everything, then there should be people who understand you. Instead of making fun of you and calling you a dried old prune or something like that. And then because so that is what I'd actually mentioned when I said that it is as I think your husband should give a talk to the other men to be as
I think so
supportive as he has been to you, and the other husband should also do the same.
Yes. My other question is, my mother went through menopause at the age of 45. I too went through menopause at the age of 45, 46. I have a twin sister who also went through menopause around that time. So is it hereditary linked?
Yes, it is. Even premature menopause, even post-menopause. And another thing, you know what people think, that if you've started your period early, Minaki, that's called.
Yes.
You will finish also early. It's not true. It's the other way around. If someone nowadays, more and more women girls are starting their periods early, then the periods end up a little later, 52, 53. 54 is the upper limit. If it's beyond that, then they should visit a gynecologist. So that's, it is hereditary.
It is hereditary linked then. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, doctor. Lovely talking to you.
Same here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Bajaj, I have a question from Sarla Garg. She's unfortunately unable to open her video, or she's unable to talk because of the internet problem. She says, how do you recommend hormonal pills after menopause?
Like I told you, the three situations where we need hormonal pills, two situations. One, we need only the cream. So one is when you attain premature menopause. And if the uterus is there, we give the two female hormones called estrogens and progesterones. And there's a fine tuning and fine play between them. And if that gets disrupted, estrogen gets the upper hand and it creates havoc. So, and if there are problems like hot flashes or premature menopause, we can give them these hormonal contraceptive pills. And depending on whether she's has a uterus or there's a hysterectomy done, a uterus is removed. So we give combined pills or just estrogens. If the uterus is there, because very rarely these pills can cause uterine cancer, opposed to cervical cancer. Uterine is in the body of the uterus. So uterine cancer or breast cancer. So those people who have got a history of family history of, so what I was saying is those who have got a family history or past history themselves, in first degree relatives or others, of breast cancer, uterine cancer, and all, I don't think they should be given, or given under very strict supervision. Anyways, it has to be given under strict supervision, and a battery of tests and examination have to be done before starting them. Then they have to be followed up regularly, yearly checkups for everything else. And those with premature menopause, we give them till they reach the natural age of menopause. And the other hot flashes, we give them till the flashes are subsided. Then we stop them and then we see how they behave. That's all. But there are no other reasons for which we give them.
Very valuable suggestion, I must say.
Those who don't have a uterus can take only pure estrogen without the progesterone to cut it, so that it does not, because it won't have any effect on the uterus to cause cancer of the uterus.
Very valuable. Most of the career women are at the peak of their careers or are competing to make it big during this difficult physiological phase. So was curious to know if the fighting spirit comes as complementary with this menopausal stage.
Fighting spirit depends on how you fighting spirit, as in the good way, or irritation and
because
fighting.
It becomes complementary to your menopausal. I mean, you have
So
this natural instinct.
No, there are mood swings. Not everyone has mood swings. There could be mood swings. One day you are on a high and next day you feel very low. So this can interfere actually with your, and not every woman suffers from every symptom of menopause every time. Very few women have few of the symptoms. So if this is the symptom, the mood swings and all that, then she needs to go for relaxation, meditation and all that. If she's got the fighting spirit, she can utilize it to progress. That's important. So you can utilize in the right way, no?
Yes. So very right.
It's either called determination or stubbornness, depends on what you're using it for. Anything.
So right. So right. Asha, does that answer your question? Yeah. She came on the line and then vanished again. Yeah. So I don't think we have any other question. I can always see the chat box. Yes, there is one more question, that if anyone gets menopause at the age of 35, what's your suggestion?
Firstly, if she's going for fertility treatment. There are a lot of women who delay childbearing because of their hormone for their careers or their education or whatever, late marriages, everything, and suddenly they want to have a baby and like instant 2-minute noodles. It does not happen. And how they know is menopause is that FSH levels rise and they stop having menopause, stop having periods. So it's difficult for them to conceive with their own eggs. They can use their own uterus, their husband's sperm, and have the baby in their own womb, deliver the baby, nurse the baby. So that they feel more involved than just adopting a baby. But their own ova will not be there over there. Those who do not want a baby have had their family, and again this premature menopause is hereditary. I think I'm answering it the third time. They take HRT till about 45 years of age under strict medical supervision, so that all the diabetes, hypertension, blood pressure, the heart disease, all the things that are going to come up after 20 years don't come up now.
So very right, ma'am. As you said in the beginning, and also it is mentioned in the preface with that wonderful poems of yours, that menopause is indeed, should be menopause. Thank you so much for such an enlightening conversation today. So anything that you'd like to kind of add, perhaps something that we have missed out or something else that you would like to talk about the book that we might have missed talking about?
It was a very, it was hard work, but it was a very enjoyable form of hard work. And I've written it for these niche readers, women, not niche actually, they're from 40 onwards, I said as before. And I do want all of you all to read it and let me know how you think, what you think of it, so that it motivates me, encourages me to write and help you all more in future, in a more.
Thank you, ma'am. And I'm sure everyone, at least who's watching this and will be, this recording will be available on the YouTube as soon as we can manage to put it there. I'm sure everyone will come back with a review after reading the book, and it'll be wonderful to go through the book. I can assure everyone. Thank you, ma'am, once again.